Say crap! Waar het die jig? Say crap! You are crapping where the jig was.
Saaiman Says.
Weekdays 6 to 9 p.m.
With Chad Saaiman.
Only on Good Hope FM.
So as you may have noticed, we have been hyping your heritage on Good Hope FM and on Saaiman Says, and I've been having some incredible conversations with what I call living legendary artists. And on the other side, as you can see, a man who needs no introduction, a musician, performer, entrepreneur. I can keep going, but we only have a limited amount of time. So I'll just say welcome to Emo Adams.
It's lekker to be here, man. How's it going?
Fantastic. So great to see you. I love your backdrop.
Thank you. It's imported.
I see. So is that a trophy over there? Or is it just
it's one of the trophies, yeah.
I love that. Emo, for me, I want to go back because we want to talk about the heritage of not only where we come from, but I think musically speaking, I think your journey's been so interesting because, as a very young man, you were on stage performing and eventually you got into making music. But let's talk about your earlier years, your teens. What was going on in the music industry around you?
Sure. I think I was brought up in a time where every song mattered. Like, I'm not sure if you understand when I say, like, every song. Like, if you don't hear Bobby Hendricks, if you don't hear Judy Boucher, if J.A.G Adams is not singing Give a Little Love, if Valentine's Day you're not hearing Queen of Hearts, if on Father's Day if you're not hearing I Love You Daddy from Ricardo Groenewald, then you haven't lived. Because those were songs about strong messages and content, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons why we have such a strong emotional connection to songs still today, because it immediately transports you back to that time when you were a teen of elke Sondag Bobby Hendricks as sit jou pa fokkies met tea and kusisters. I think it's much more than just songs. It's the memory that goes with the song that makes it special.
So if we talk about today's time, man, with songs now coming out each and every Friday, almost like it's, like it's an event.
Yeah.
Every Friday, every, midnight, you get a host of new songs, thousands of them.
Yeah.
Is it harder for us to connect to songs in the same way now?
I think the need has changed. I think teens today want things quicker, faster. Even back in the day, if I listen to ABBA track now, then I'm like, yo, that is dope. The kids want different things now. So if you don't hear pass it, pass it, or I don't wanna wait, like, so it's also
and then woo, that's another.
So in colored terms, the best way I could explain was like back in the day was smoking a Zol enough. En nou moet jy dit mix met tik en jig en Vaseline en happersdruppel, because they just want more. And because more, you get the sense of ecstasy where the wow factor only lasts for now, but after that, it's empty. And I think that is a trap that songwriters, I would say, fall into. They don't write the song that's going to still sound relevant 10 years from now. They write the song that sounds relevant now.
For now.
Yeah.
I get that completely. On the note of relevance and songs, what do the following letters mean to you? J-A-G.
Say crap! Say crap! You are crapping where the jig was. Okay, so that's J.A.G, the boy band that we had, that I started, and I think it was more than a boy band. It was a brotherhood. It was a family. It was one of those things where you go through trials and tribulations to get who you are, because even then, I'd say there's a vaste vibe, but then you've got 4 other guys reminding you, you're not there. You have something, but you're not there yet. And
you had Suri. So if ever you thought you were beautiful, you looked over and you saw Suri.
Ja, hy sê, weet jy wat is kwaad vir my gemaak, want Suri is like, hy is 'n lig van kleurkalet. Weet jy hoe kwaad raak sy vir 'n lig van kleurkalet? Like, it's like, why are you that white? I mean, it's disturbing, you know. Sometimes they wouldn't let us in because he's too white. He can't.
Yeah, it's dodgy. It's dodgy. I mean, you know, we've had this conversation before. I've been at a concert you guys did coincidentally at the Good Hope Center.
Yeah.
And if I remember, there were thousands of people there.
12,000. Yeah, it was crazy. As you saw, everyone was standing, and we broke doors down. We had to pay 35,000 rand to have it fixed. Wow. But I think, once again, that was in a moment where you were finding your feet. People could see that, and they had appreciation for that. They could see the hustle, they could see the drive. And if you fast forward from there, a lot of people didn't see when we started, when we were singing in karaoke bars, just for food or just for bread, or you know what I mean. Everyone sees success. I think maybe the lesson that we learn from all of this is everyone sees success. No one sees the trials and tribulations leading up to success. So as famous as Wade van Niekerk, he's famous because he broke a record, but what if he didn't break the record? Would people know him? And I think that's a fault on our side as well. But at the same time, I have to applaud people because once again, they could see what we were before we could see what we were.
I love that. And I mean, for you being younger and being part of an outfit like J.A.G, but also always knowing, I think I get the feeling from the other side that you've always known that there's something different. You were just wired differently. Did you know that as a younger boy also, when you looked around and you looked at your peers, and I mean, obviously you had Lukman as your brother, but when you looked around, did you know you were wired differently?
Yes, and I don't want that to sound boastful. I want that to sound to a fact that has got to do with my upbringing. It's got to do with my heritage. The fact that you want more, and there must be more. And the analogy that I'm going to use is messed up in so many ways, but this is it. You know, when you want something in life and you fail, you have to adapt the attitude of a gangster. Based on the fact that as hy nie voor in kan breek by die voordeur nie, breek hy in by die agterdeur. As hy nie agter nie, as hy 'n venster, as hy nie die venster nie, deur 'n dak. The point is, there is a consistent determination that is just ongoing. So I always knew, even starting J.A.G, I took 2 years before I decided to who's the people I want for that group.
Wow.
Based on their talents. It wasn't a fluke of we happened to have Noor and Suri and Lukman. No. They were all chosen specifically for what I knew they could bring to the table. And as I think for me, it was also just trying to find bodies where I could hone my talent as a songwriter or as a singer, working in gimmicks because I wanted us to be different. Like, how do we put acting and dancing, and how do we put all of that? So the experience I want people to have is, instead of going to a variety show, is ons die hele variety show. How do we achieve that? And with that, we had to pull in current, and then, as you could see from Kings of District 6, when J.A.G did that, heritage, Rosa, Kaapse Klopse, musicals, Afrikaans FAK liedjies, and all of that then combined made J.A.G.
I love that, because I think what you did was you took your musical heritage, and I mean, we grew up in an era where variety shows and singing and just people coming together and groups, it was so common, but we were there was such a rich amount of talent. I remember watching, because I was interested in music, and I would just watch all these groups, and I would see the proteges and the limited editions.
J.A.G,
the J.A.G, the boys. And I mean, you know, a lot of the younger listeners might not know about these acts, but it was a time where the music industry and the performance industry, you were so excited to see these groups, man, because you were man, like that's my guy in that group, or listen to that one's voice, and I think now when we look at it, we don't see as many groups anymore, right?
With that being also said, I must also just bring to light the effort. I mean, I think you guys as a unit, Black Ties, J.A.G, I'm not even sure if there's any of those entities still around, but I mean, that was like the last of its kind.
Yeah.
That's still put in effort. You could see it in the costumes. You could see, you know, as Rendezvous uitsteek, hulle almal dryk dieselfde. As the boys uitsteek baseball essentials, give me back my love. Almal lyk dieselfde. It just showed that even they had pride in what they were doing. En ja, almal het dieselfde sequence gedra, maar ek voel hy move lek nou. You know what I mean? Like if you need to add almost like more tattoos, because that's now the vibe, and it's now how the more you mismatch, the better.
One in the neck,
yeah, that says this is my gordel. It's like like why? And that's why today I still have pride. You see me with my unit, Take Note band. Soete, die son kan bak buite kan. You're all gonna get dressed because you want to show the audience that you still respect them.
Absolutely. And I think it was a thing that came up in music, especially when we take back to the Rat Pack and those days where there was a certain certain, you know, way you carried yourself. And when you put the suit on,
absolutely,
you have a different
je ne sais quoi.
When you put the suit on, just the way you carry yourself, your posture changes, everything changes, you know.
In my geval, as mense my aankyk en ek het 'n suit aan, lyk ek wittere. Like I come across more like complexion. Like I can't help it.
I have a question for you. What makes Cape Town?
Everything. And I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about when you look back at the Malay slaves that came to Cape Point. 1652, Jan van Riebeeck and the Netherlands and that mixed breed. The people that was here already, and that all of those people intertwining with each other, finding a new language, finding a new culture, adapting to a culture, adapting to the surroundings. As amper soos 'n mix masala, like you don't know why daai potpourri is lekker. It is just lekker. You can't put your finger on it, and I think everything contributes to it. It's rich in culture, it's rich in history. It's a painful history, but it's a needed history. En ek dink daai is iets tevore, and I'm so glad you mentioned it, because before I used to maybe to a very, very large extent be not too keen to say where I'm from, because there were certain negative connotations that go with it. Now I'm the latter. Now I'm completely opposite. I want to speak about diversity. I want to speak about the history. I want to speak about where we are and if we are moving forward, because I feel it's conversations that needs to be taken. I feel that us as a community, we are dysfunctional, where you can see violence on TV, but you don't want to see it in the street.
In the street, yeah.
So julle almal koop tickets na 'n movie om dit te kyk op 'n big screen, maar as jy self goed sien in die straat, like, ooh, het jy gehoor? Like, you can't be for it and then against it. Like, you need to know where you know what I mean? So, I think when it comes to heritage, when it comes to songs, those are the beats that carry us through those hardship, those dysfunctionalities, the offsets. That takes us from one place to another.
I love that. I love it. You're building a legacy, and you have built a legacy, and you continue to do so. I mean, I see constant new moves. I know you're in the coffee space now, which is speaking my language, bro. That's what I consume a lot of that. What advice? Let's say you know we have a kid coming up now, and or let's say one of your sons
Yeah.
You have a few of them. Let's say one of them says, you know, Dad, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna make songs. I'm gonna record. I'm gonna be a star. Whoa. And he says, I need you to guide me.
Yeah.
How do you, in such a new era that we find ourselves in, how much of the past do we, you know, bring into it, and how much of the future?
Sure. That is such a loaded question because you can go anywhere with it. It's a good question. Like, there's quite a few things I would say. If I start with my dad said, I don't care what you do as long as you do it well. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, don't ever, ever, ever be afraid to make mistakes, because people think they fail when you make a mistake. No, that's not failing. Failing is if you don't try at all. Then you fail. But I think, so that's what I would give to the up and coming. For the people that's in the industry already, that's mid up and coming to almost there, be careful that your ego don't stand in your way. Because sometimes the fame is so overwhelming that you forget why.
Yeah.
You forget why you're doing this.
Yeah.
So then you become egotistical, and then but we've seen newspapers, the rise and the fall is just as easy. The same people that build you up is the same people that break you down. But if you know why, then the wave doesn't affect you, because your work will be consistent.
Emo, I love the fact that you actually gave advice, not only to people who have started, but people who are almost there. Because remember, getting from start to that breaking point can take forever. And when you break, maintaining that section is just as important. And you know, it's not, I think it's a similar message to the one I had in a different conversation. And it was just the same kind of thing, saying, guys, you know, do not let the ego go ahead of you. Just remember the roots of what makes you you and why you actually do
100%.
this. I'm so grateful that we got to have this conversation. And you know, for me, I'm always going to just say this, because it is an honor to speak to you in this regard. We've been on similar bills, similar stages, and I know now and then I call out for a little voice note, but I value you in the industry. I've always valued you from the day I met you. And I think there are so many people that can just resonate with that. And that's why it was quite simple for me to identify who I needed to have conversations with about musical heritage. And not every person has to be 60 years old or 70 years old. You know, you've had a career filled with a lot of longevity and different movements. And I think just from the other side, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done and that you continue to do for all of us. You know, when we see you, we see ourselves, especially on the artist side. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's conversations that's needed. And it's weird for me to still sometimes be relevant 35 years later, because I've been doing this for such a long time. But at the same time, I've been wearing blinkers, so you don't get affected by whoever's doing what. You just stick to what you know. But in closing, I want to say this. I want to thank my dad when it comes to heritage, because unknowingly, when he forced me to listen to Afrikaans songs, when he forced me to listen to Carpenters, ABBA, Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, Sunday Bless Bridges, Groep 2, yesterday, Steve Hofmeyer, die lys gaan aan, Kaapse Klopse, Malay Kore, Cape Malay Mola Jamas. He was really prepping me for what I was still going to become. He was still prepping me for a position like Johan Stemmer to take over without knowing why. So when people ask you who's the heroes, who's the people on the front line, who's the people that's instilled heritage, discipline, that ethos of always just staying true to yourself. I cannot take away, I've learned a lot from David Kramer. I've learned a lot from the late great Tally Peterson. And I would also throw in Jody Abrams, Emo Adams, Alistair, Isabel. All these people taught me a lot. Noor Abrams teaching me harmonies. But hands down, my dad was the sole person who planted that seed, knowing, ek plant vir jou nou, maar die boom is vir later.
I love that. Emo, thank you so much for your time.
Much appreciated. Blessings. And pop by for coffee. What's wrong with you?
I'm on the way.
Daar ry al 3 weke met hier.
This is Good Hope FM. This is Good Hope FM. We play the best music.